from the crypt.
Hello, boys and ghouls. Welcome to episode 39 of Dads from the Crypt, a Tales from the Crypt podcast. My name is Jason. I am joined by Mando.
Hi, Jason.
Hello. I'm a little post-COVID brained out here, so bear with me. Jody has the night off to do real work, but tonight we have a special guest. His name is Jonathan. Welcome.
Hey guys, how you guys doing? Jason, Mando, how you guys doing tonight?
Good.
Can't complain.
So
Awesome.
Jonathan, tell us about CryptTube.
Yes. CryptTube is meant to be a central hub of tales, information, and content. Obviously, I know for a fact I'm not the only one who's putting this game out there, but you know, we have Dads from the Crypt, we have Tales from the Podcast, you know, the Good Evenings Kitties podcast. But in terms of overall episode content, information about the films and TV shows, all that fun trivia that a lot of fans don't really generally know. That's what I basically aim to do with my channel.
And you're not just putting clips up, you're curating, you're converting. Tell us about that.
Yes, the upscales, the 4K upscales for the series. Obviously, there's a huge demand by the fans. Like, we want Tales on Blu-ray and 4K. Now, obviously, with the rights issues, you know, you guys already covered this with Easy Comics, but basically, you know, I'm taking it upon myself to take the DVD format that we have and basically upscale it to, you know, 4K, because, you know, like I iterated before, like, this is something that we all want to see, and we're kind of getting impatient. So I wanted to give something to the fans because, you know, I know for a fact this is something that, because like myself, this is something I would have wanted. Therefore, I want to give it back to you guys.
Yeah, we love it. It's my go-to. I'm looking for an episode.
Definitely. And like we talked about it a little bit, but yeah, the DVDs you can get on eBay, and they're super expensive on eBay right now, I think.
Yes.
And as long as it's not a knockoff, because there's been a lot of those.
Yeah, you can also buy bootleg ones if you want. But it's really cool to have an available source to rewatch these episodes, because we still get comments often that'll be like, "How come HBO Max doesn't have these yet?" And like we said, it's a messy rights fee, so it's a real cool thing you're doing there.
I appreciate it, and I'm glad you guys are all enjoying them. I'm glad the fans are enjoying it, your listeners. What's going on right now with the channel is like, right now I am up for monetization. The problem with that is, though, I can't really make money off of the episodes because they don't belong to me. You know, that right there gives me a little bit of a hitch in my giddy up. But what I'm trying to really do is, because I'm going through another method of trying to upscale these. I actually just uploaded a sample, you know, to test this new tech, and, you know, basically see what the difference is between the first one I'm using versus this new one. Problem is, licensing to purchase this software is expensive. So I am kind of gauging the idea of accepting donations, you know, like outside Patreon or whatever. The problem with that, though, is morally for me, I don't like the idea of accepting money from people, you know. So especially for something like this, where, you know, people are just like, they have all their trust in me, and if because of my schedule, like, you know, I can't give the content immediately, you know, based on the schedule that, you know, one would expect. So if you guys are expecting an episode this week, you know, all of a sudden something happens and I can't give it to you, then people are like, you know, well, this guy has our money, he used it for this and he's not giving it to us. Just expectations like that. And that's what I'm trying to avoid. But basically, it's just one of those things where I have to come up with a solid plan and give it to the fans and see what they'd say. And I also need a little bit more exposure, because I would really like to do this where I have a much broader spectrum of an audience to give this kind of opportunity to.
Now here's the big question, though. So like, you know, we're all Tales from the Crypt nerds, but you are real diehard. At least I feel like compared to me. Where does your love of Tales from the Crypt come from? How did you get hooked?
Oh, from being tormented, from being tormented. Basically, I get it from my brother and my sister. My older brother and sister, when I was a kid, they basically tormented me with the Crypt Keeper and his laugh, the theme music. For example, I'm trying to make this short. My brother said he had a surprise for me. I'm upstairs in my room playing Super Nintendo. I'm like 5 years old at the time. He says he has a surprise waiting for me downstairs. He tells me to close my eyes. And then, basically, as soon as the Crypt Keeper pops up on the TV, he says, "Open him, surprise!" And then, I'm traumatized. I'm terrified. My eyes are pouring out, and then I don't forgive him for about a good 3 weeks until he gets me a Super Nintendo game. But basically, that moment led to me being like having nightmares, and any single time I heard the Crypt Keeper, the theme song, the laugh, I was terrified of the Crypt Keeper all the way up to maybe high school. And, then eventually it kind of led to the Tales series coming out on DVD slowly but surely. When it first was coming out by season, that I started, kind of like tiptoeing into the water a little bit, and then eventually that trauma led to obsession. And I realized that the Crypt Keeper with his puns, his jokes, just the overall content of the episodes were just like enthralling, and I just love some of the things that that I took for granted in that moment, where now I found a deep seated appreciation for what the people who made this show did. And especially with the Crypt Keeper basically became like I loved his jokes. I loved the way he approached the segments, and it just became a big obsession for me.
Nice.
That's awesome.
That's kind of my story with Nightmare on Elm Street. Is I walked in on my mom watching Freddy's Revenge when I was like 5 years old, and terrified me. And my sister and my mom would torment me with Freddy, and then as I got older, it turned into my favorite series and sparked a love. Again, trauma into obsession, but
right.
Which I'm sure some therapist somewhere is like, fucking go to a therapist for this, but no, I'm cool with where it led me.
It's exposure therapy. Yeah, I had the same thing where just even like the trailers and the ads on TV and the promos and stuff just scared the shit out of me.
Dude, when I was a kid and I'd hear the New Line Cinema intro, I'd be like, ah, shit.
Exactly.
What are we getting into here?
But it's amazing how like something that like it's basically like how people say that the best cure for what you fear is to like absorb it. Like if you're scared of something, the best way to really try to get over that fear is to face it head on. And it's true. Like some of the things that we deal with in life, or just things that we are exposed to, can be a powerful tool if you learn how to adapt to it.
That's true.
At least that's kind of like my poor way of saying it, or trying to explain it. But yeah.
That makes sense. If we ever get together in person, I'm going to make Jason lay down in a bathtub full of snakes.
Nope.
Yeah.
But they've actually used a virtual reality to help cure people's. And granted, I couldn't sit through the video because I'm not technically arachnophobic because scorpions don't bother me. But fuck spiders. And they're showing how they make people put the VR glasses on and they sit there in a chair and they just see more and more spiders on the screen. And it supposedly was curing people's fears. I'm like, I'm never going to do that. I couldn't sit through the YouTube video. But it was just, but it makes sense of how kind of facing those fears head on can help you, alleviate them or gain an appreciation for it or whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Almost like a sense of empowerment.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Tonight, we will be discussing Tales from the Crypt episode Spoiled, which premiered on August 21st, 1991. Mando, give us your plot synopsis.
So when Jason told me tonight that I had to do the plot synopsis, I've had anxiety since that point.
Well, time to face that.
So we're facing our
there
fears
you go.
here,
Empowerment.
right?
Empowerment.
Bear with me. I don't have the voice of Jody, but I shall do my best. So we open up with the Crypt Keeper, obviously, and he's playing a golfer in one of my favorite outfits he's put on before, because I'm pretty sure when I drive by a golf course, I see people looking just like the Crypt Keeper every day. And he's laying there. And I think he's got his caddy dead on the table in front of him, and he makes
Juan.
And he makes a great joke if he's trying to make hole in wands.
I love it.
On the actual episode, we open up and we're actually watching a soap opera, kind of the episode inside of an episode. I'm not gonna lie, it threw me off at first. Because I remembered the ending of this episode, but I didn't remember the lead up. But we start off with it's basically they're working inside of some kind of business office, and the man has just finished effectuating a successful merger when his wife, apparently Fuchsia, great name by the way, Fuchsia's a really good name, especially when trying to put like, the sultry spin on things with it being, I think it's red, I'm colorblind, but she's trying to effectuate. She walks in and tries to seduce him and says that she's simply trying to also effectuate a successful merger, which is the first of many puns in this episode. And the pun, so there are people who are going to watch this episode and say, holy shit, this is terrible because of all these puns, but they knew what they were doing. This is the goal, and it's a perfect dad episode. Anyhow, he blows her off, and he ignores her, and she's basically like, screw this, and goes to the main office, and which is super sexual harassment, grabs a random worker and says, meet me in my office now. He goes in the office, she grabs his face and seduces him, which, by the way, would totally work on me too. I get it. And and they have apparently walk right into an affair. We then see that we're just seeing the soap opera, and it's being watched by two women, Louise, who is Janet's best friend, and Janet, who is kind of the main character of this episode. And they talk about the episode that they just watched, and Janet complains that all her husband cares about is work, and she wants a life like Fuchsia's, full of excitement, kind of doing what she wants. And they actually portray Fuchsia as being the strong, independent woman that's like, screw you, I can do what I want to do. I don't have to live under a man's ruling, which is kind of cool and kind of progressive for tales for the 90s when this is made. So they have that conversation, and then her husband comes home, Leon, who's a doctor, and he complains about how he lost another one. And immediately Janet runs up to him, and Janet's like, oh my God, I'm so happy you're home, because she's all hot and bothered by this episode. But Leon's like, nah, just I lost a patient. I need you to go away. He goes downstairs in her basement. What's her name? Louise leaves. And then she fantasizes about him coming in and saying, I'm going to quit being a doctor. I'm going to overtake you right now. Finds out it's all just a dream. And then she goes downstairs and tries to seduce the real Leon, who just brushes her off. And he's like, just stop bothering me. I'm working. And then we find out he's working on some kind of like an anesthetic where you can keep organs alive during or keep the brain alive during organ transplant to prolong the amount of time you have for an organ transplant. You see him doing this on his little bunny rabbit called Mr. Cottontail, which has the coolest house, by the way. Like he's got a little like whole home setup for him, which is pretty awesome. So then we go back to Janet watching her soap, and she's doing something vigorously on a rowing machine. And I love how it's shot because you can't really quite tell what she's doing. Then you see she's on a rowing machine, and she has terrible form. But she's back watching the episode, and then it's at the climax of the episode. Everything just kind of gushes forward, and the climax of the episode is the husband, who was the inattentive businessman, walking in on his wife and the temp or the office worker having an affair. And he pulls out a gun and points it at them. And then all we see is this white snow everywhere because the TV has gone out. And for anybody who isn't as old as we are, when TV would go out back in the day, you would just see white static on the screen or white snow. So she runs.
Which Poltergeist made terrifying.
Poltergeist made that terrifying and made the other thing we don't see anymore when stations would just go off the air for the night.
They're here.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I get goosebumps thinking of Poltergeist.
Our kids don't know what static is. That's a shame.
Which I don't know if a lot of people know this, right? Any of the listeners know, but Sci-Fi, when they had Tales on their broadcast, they had the Crypt Keeper do a promo for that actual scene.
Oh, really? Wow, really? That's so cool.
Yes, so that is actually a promo that they did, like where the Crypt Keeper does the Poltergeist, he does The Shining, a few others, but yeah.
Oh, wow.
Are those on CryptTube to be seen now?
Yes, they are.
Awesome.
See, you got to plug it where you go.
Well, I know what I'm doing.
Exactly.
All right. So after that, she runs downstairs, and then Louise runs in and goes, oh, my God, you see what happened? And she goes, no. And Louise is like, he shot that guy in the dick. And that's what happened. He shot him in the dick. And she was like, what the fuck? I missed it. My TV went out. So Louise is like, dude, you got to get cable. You have to get cable because you can get great stations like HBO. Wink and a nod. So Janet's like, yeah, I'm not getting cable. That's frivolous. And he goes, is C-SPAN frivolous? Is CNN frivolous? All stations owned by the HBO, I guess, all owned by the same company at the time. So it's pretty kind of tongue-in-cheek and fun there. So she decides, okay, I'm going to go ahead and get cable. Enter Abel with the cable. First thing he does is he comes right inside of Janet's house, and he puts his box inside of her bedroom. He promises a quickie installation, but he says he'll give her a longer one next time if she just waits, because good things come to those who wait. He uses this huge tool and connects the coax cables together to make sure he gets the male into the female end properly and gets those nice and tight, and that kind of finishes the cable setup to full completion. He then makes sure that Janet has his beeper number because you might need immediate servicing in the future, and he wants to make sure she gets services fully and to her satisfaction. You may say that things are getting a little messy up at this point. Sorry.
I love all the entendres in this.
Oh, I had to read it like I wrote it, and I almost cracked up my own writing. We move on with more of Leon. He's just kind of fiddling around with himself in the basement. Janice comes in, and she's doing her best to seduce him. She's got her wedding night attire, which good on her, man. Like, that's cool that she still kept that and roll with that. She wasn't wearing a wedding dress. It was her after the wedding ensemble, which is where you should spend your money anyways. The weddings are boring. Just for anybody having a wedding that you're inviting me to in the future, it's probably going to be boring. I'm sorry. Anyhow, she tries to seduce him, and she ends up knocking over a flask, and he gets really pissed off, and he's like, all right, I have to go back now to the hospital to get more of that chemical because I needed that for my work. So we come back over, and then Abel is back over at the house, and he promises to fix Janet's knobs, and maybe give her another knob to work on. She seduces Abel, but Abel's a professional. He's not a professional. He still doesn't fix a fucking cable. He seems like he's tuned into fixing the cable, but he never actually fixes it, which really bugs me. Anyhow, she tells him, like, don't worry about that. The cable's fine, even though it's obviously not working. And he goes ahead and finishes servicing his account, and then Leon comes home. So Leon comes home, and Leon is like, what the fuck is going on here? Who's this guy in my house? And Abel basically is standing over the TV. He says, we had all kinds of great entendres here that he does, because we had to really work the kinks out in the system. And then he chats, and then he slams his fist down, getting that fist right into that box. And then the best part of the whole episode pops up, where it's a scene from the intro of Tales from the Crypt, with the Crypt Keeper laughing. And Leon goes, get that shit off my TV. Which I absolutely love that. And then Leon talks about how he's taking a leave of absence from the hospital to come home and work on his revolutionary drug that he's working on. And then Janet basically has a conversation with Abel saying, all right, he's going to be working downstairs. He hits a button to open his door. A light comes on. We'll know when he's coming upstairs. We can still continue this affair. This is totally cool. Goes back to the soap opera, and the soap opera shows that the man who just shot this guy in the dick is out of prison after 2 weeks, which apparently if you shoot someone in the dick in TV, you go to jail for 2 weeks. Everything's fine after that. And he confronts the lovers, and somehow they get back together or something. But it's kind of just, it's there for background noise at this point. Anyhow, Leon finishes his project. He's super excited. He goes upstairs while Janet and Abel are on the couch. Or I say, we see Janet and Abel on the couch first. And then all we do is we just see Janet's head kind of go below Abel's waistline. I don't know what was happening there, but something was happening there because he was making some noises of pleasure, like he was enjoying himself. But we don't really know what was happening there.
So was she.
Yeah, they're having a great time. I know. I'm just hoping because of how I like things that she was getting a foot massage because that's my thing. We're classy here on Dads from the Crypt. So
discretion. Discretion.
So Leon is so excited. All he wants to do is show people this bunny rabbit. And so he's got his bunny rabbit in his arms, and he forgets to hit the button to say he's coming upstairs. And he comes upstairs. He catches him on the couch, and he reminds me of I imagine him being like a 5-year-old kid catching mommy and daddy on the couch having relations, and all he wants to do is show his new toy. Because he's got that rabbit, and he's like, just look at my rabbit. Just look at Mr. Cottontail. He's so cute, and he's still alive after all these procedures I've done on him. Anyhow, he gets very upset at finding out what's happening. And then he goes back downstairs in his basement and he's trying to figure out what he can do. And he says, I'm going to hurt her like she hurt me. He runs upstairs, chloroforms both of them, and then he brings them back downstairs. And you can just tell bad shit's about to happen. He's got him laid out in the gurney, strapped down. And then we get this wacky music that's playing over this medical montage. And when I say wacky, fucking loved it. Like, I love it's got this weird, like almost circus kind of quality music to what he's doing with the montage of what he's doing to their bodies. And then we get to the very end where Janet and Abel wake up on the couch and they finally realize, oh shit, we gave head to each other because they each have each other's head on their shoulders. They seem...
to see Jason's face.
They seem a little bit upset. Leon looks very satisfied, like he has now completed his task. And he tells them, I guess you lost your heads over each other. You wanted each other's bodies? I gave them to you. And then we fade out and we go back to the Crypt Keeper, who just nails like 8 puns in a row that I'm not going to try to repeat because John Kassir is the man. But he finishes it off with a putt. A putt going right into the head. And he says, I guess this is par for the corpse. Fade out.
Bravo, Mando.
I never want to do that again. I said it the first time.
No,
infinitely better than I could have done.
I understand you say you don't want to do that again, but I think you should do it more often. That was awesome.
Ooh, okay.
With all the entendres. The entendres were perfect.
You know, when I was watching this episode, I was like, this is the right one for me to synopsize. I hope I fulfilled I hope I fulfilled you, Jason, and I hope I
I'm feeling very fulfilled right now. I could go for a cigarette.
Okay. Just as long as you're pleasured, I'm a happy guy.
All right. Jonathan, you're a guest. Why don't you start us off and tell us what you thought about this episode?
Well, overall, this is actually one of my favorite episodes out of the season. This is one of the ones, like, when I pop in the DVDs or when I, watch the upscales, like, this is one that I always come back to whenever I watch season 3. I love the actors and the actresses in this. Like Mando is basically saying with the synopsis, like, this is an over-the-top episode. I mean, it's a Tales episode, but it doesn't take itself seriously whatsoever. Like, it's meant to be one where it's filled with ridiculous puns, ridiculous entendres, sexual innuendos, and it's meant to make fun of itself, and I really like that. But it still maintains that really wacky, zany comeuppance that these people get for doing the things that they did. And obviously, when it comes down to Janet and Abel, obviously Janet is one who feels like she's scorned to a degree when she's this housewife that wants love from her husband. She wants romance, she wants attention. Obviously she feels neglected, but instead of doing the right thing, she goes and does the wrong thing, which now leads to Abel, a guy who's not even involved in this marriage, kind of overstepping his bounds, being this kind of service what's the word I'm looking for?
I think servicer is 100% the right
serviceman.
word.
Yeah, servicer. Yeah, so he is servicing her. He is servicing her.
That account is on good standing.
Yes. That man definitely knows how to bury a bone, I'll tell you that. But basically there's wrong on all by all in the circle. Janet is cheating on her husband. Her husband's not giving her enough attention. It's all about work. And Abel is getting involved and being a homewrecker and separate, like, pretty much bring the gap between these two. And now it all leads to two of them getting their heads switched off and one of them possibly going to jail. Possibly being put to death. But overall, the episode is one of those ones that I think has a great script to it. It has a great level of context behind it. Not only for those who just find this kind of, story relatable, that's number one. Two, just one of those kinds of stories that it's not too separated from reality, you know. I guess that's the best way I can really put it. But yeah, I really love this one. If I could give it a rating, I'd say this one's a
Well, we'll get to the rating.
Oh yeah.
okay, rate. Okay,
We'll rate it.
I'll take that off. Okay, so you can edit that one out.
Yeah,
That's fine.
We'll leave it.
But yeah, it's a good episode.
Right. Mondo, what'd you think?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat here. I remember the ending of this very vividly, but I don't remember everything leading up to it. And I guarantee you, I probably didn't appreciate as much when I was like 12 or 13 and watch this, and I did today. Just a really fun episode, and I think there's a lot of things when it comes with horror and comedy where you have kind of it's a fine balance where this episode's constantly winking at you as an audience, as the audience, right? Saying like, trust me, you're groaning, and we know, we know you're groaning. It's okay. and I do think that some horror comedy goes the route of it's a joke, but they're not letting you in on the joke. They're almost making it a joke that's kind of spite you, if that makes sense. Pro wrestling is very good at this too. But this episode is one that it's there's a joke to it, but you're in on the joke. They know you're in on the joke, and they want you to have a good time with it. And I love how it's kind of a really human story, like Jonathan said. It's a human story, but with that tinge of kind of science fiction wrapped around it and horror wrapped around it. And I do honestly wonder is how illegal is what he did? Like, is it like he didn't murder them technically?
Well,
I'm sure doing surgery on someone without their consent is probably illegal.
Yeah, I think that's illegal.
Yeah. That what is that called? Malpractice?
Yeah, I mean, someone's malpractice insurance is going way up after this episode.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah, again, it's one of those I vividly remember from watching when I was younger, and just a fun episode all around. I enjoyed it enough to where I watched it twice, and Kelly, my wife, didn't watch it with me. I'm probably gonna make her watch it too, because it was just a fun episode. I liked it, and then maybe maybe while we're watching, I can get a foot rub. We'll see.
We'll see. We'll find out. To be determined.
Well, what'd you think, Jason?
I didn't love this episode.
I
just wasn't in the mood.
I knew that was coming.
I know. I remember a couple episodes ago I complained about the episode Split Second because it just felt really sleazy and like overly sexual, and I guess that, and I came around to that one a little more because I guess that's kind of the point. But this episode makes that episode look much better in my eyes.
I think this episode though took itself way less seriously than that one did. Like, right, I don't think you're wrong though. I don't think it's going to be for everybody. It's going to be how much do you love them force feeding you puns and kind of weird sexual situations. I
think this is an episode that 13-year-old Jason really liked. So I definitely remember the Abel jokes. I just think remember that. I think what I didn't like as much about this ending compared to again the Split Second, because you just can't not compare the two since they're like only a couple episodes apart. Was I saw the ending, the twist, the whatever, the stinger coming really like a mile away, where I think the one in Split Second is so much more messed up and devious. The fact where they tricked the guy who's been blinded to chainsaw through these people that are stuck in the log. I think that's way more ingenious than this, the big reveal in this episode, which they switched heads. That didn't do too much for me, and this is like. Also, I think Tales from the Crypt has been very much about practical effects. Obviously, CG wasn't as readily available back in this time period, but this was obviously, well, I think, could be the very first instance of CGI, at least as far as like as far as gore. I know parts of the intro are CGI, like the scene where they're going through the spiral of the stairs is CGI in the intro. I can't think of any other CG prior to this within the episode itself.
And that didn't bother me. I think because the episode didn't take itself seriously and was kind of a joke. I think that's why that didn't bother me. Whereas a lot of times that CGI would definitely bother me.
Yeah, it's just again, you knew that he was going to switch the heads and the bodies, and we've already seen things like that. There's literally the episode The Switch where the guy switches all of his body parts, and I thought that was a much better done. So the ending just didn't have any real punch to me. Yeah, I found some of the entendres were funny to a degree. I don't know, it just didn't really gel with me. Maybe I wasn't as much in the mood, but I wasn't that hot in this episode.
Yeah, it's understandable. I mean, it's not for everyone. And, based on what you say, with there is a level of predictability when it comes down to it. I mean, when you watch this episode, especially if, you watch it for the first time and you've already been exposed to unoriginal storylines, especially one like this one, you know, it's very easy to see, like you can see it like 2 miles away.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, especially when the guy is like the main pivotal point here in this story is he's working with this kind of, you know, substance that can
it's
really
gonna come
suspend.
back.
Yeah, exactly. And if I recall, like, what was it? Abracadabra already worked with a substance such as that, you know, to suspend somebody's, you know, mind while they're under heavy, you know, surgery. So that was already an element that was introduced in a previous episode. So if you had remembered Abracadabra or you remembered, you know, Split Second, you already came to terms with the idea like this is something that's very familiar, and there it is right there.
Right. And if they could have done like a twist, like if you would have just like switched their clothes to make them think they'd switched bodies or something like that, you know, and then like, oh, haha, I didn't actually do it. Oh, you're crazy for thinking I would go through something like that. Like that would have added another level to it. That would have like, okay, that got me. But I think
right.
Again, the punch at the ending of Split Second was much better than I think the one here, and that's why I kind of appreciate the episode even a little more. Also, I like the woodsy atmosphere in that episode. This one was just kind of a very bland domestic household. I mean, I like the ending perfectly fine. The lead Janet, Faye Grant, she was really good. She was in The Greatest American Hero. She was in V, which I used to watch V all the time when I was a kid.
I remember.
You guys watch that?
I remember.
No,
that was a great show.
Yeah, I knew about it, but never watched it, to be honest.
She was in the show Steal the Grace. The director of this one is Andy Wolk. He did an episode of Soprano and Arliss, so he did kind of the HBO shows. He also did The Practice, Gossip Girl, and Carrie's Diaries. So he's kind of been all over the place as far as TV goes. Leon was in a lot of episodes for LA Law. He was in Dharma Greg. He was also in Showgirls. I don't remember who, but he might be one of the club owners. Is the best I can think. I haven't seen that in a long time.
The only role I remember him being, I mean, aside from Tales from the Crypt, he was the Clock King in Batman the Animated Series.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's the only other role I know is a notable one, and one that I recognize him from.
Well, it's really interesting. So her friend Louise is played by Annabelle Gurwitch, and she's actually in Ambulance, the movie that literally came out this weekend. So good on her. It's not often that we have an actor or actress from Tales from the Crypt that has a movie coming out in 2022, like a major movie. Also, funnily, she was also in The Cable Guy.
That's right.
Another cable man. She was in Dexter, Guiding Light. She's also a best-selling author. So she's had a hell of a career.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she's good.
The guy who played Abel, the cable guy, Anthony LaPiglia. He was in He Said, She Said, Married an Axe Murderer, The Client, Empire Records, Summer Sam, Happy Feet, and Annabelle Creation. And then what's really interesting is those two characters that were in the soap opera within the soap opera. Fuchsia was played by Anita Morris. She was in a lot of movies.
Wasn't she also in actual soap operas?
Yeah, she was in some actual soap operas.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Damn, you okay, Jason? You're right over
there?
No,
I'm working through it.
All right.
She was in Down and Out in Beverly Hills, 18 Again, the George Burns movie, if you remember that one. Ruthless People. Unfortunately, she died like in her 50s from cancer very, very quickly. That's really tragic.
Rest in peace.
And then Evian, her lover partner in that movie, is played by Tristan Rogers. He's been in a shit ton of soap operas.
Okay, that makes sense because he had that soap opera look with the feathered, early 90s hair and the.
No, he was in like 300 episodes of General Hospital, The Bay, The Young and the Restless, The Bold and the Beautiful.
Damn, good for him.
So he has that resume down. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that was part of the joke of having those two in those scenes. It was like a little mini within soap opera within the soap opera. So yeah, sorry, it wasn't my favorite episode, but
I
can see other. If you like it, that's fine.
It's totally fine. We're allowed to like things, Jason.
I know.
Yeah, and we're allowed to dislike him too.
It's true. It is.
But no, there's actually a little piece of trivia that I really liked about this episode. Now you guys know like what Tales was all about, right? When it came down to being broadcast on HBO.
Maybe I don't know where you're going with that, so enlighten us.
So basically, like HBO needed more subscribers, you know, because it was a premium channel.
Right.
Now the only way the way they would kind of like, you know, throw some lure out and try to reel you in was when they syndicated the show, you know, to Fox in 1994.
Okay.
So now 1994 obviously was a little bit further ahead versus when this episode came out, but basically, you know how Janet is trying to be convinced by Louise to get, you know, HBO,
Yeah,
and get with the 20th century, right, to get a cable box. Basically, she's telling her, listen, you need to get HBO or something, you know, like she's basically selling HBO to get a premium package channel in order to watch her favorite soap opera, which
That's
in
cool.
1994, when you watch Tales from the Crypt on Fox, you couldn't watch it uncensored because it's on a syndicated network. So if you wanted to watch it uncut, uncensored, without any of that kind of, you know, commercials or anything like that, you had to buy HBO at a premium package.
that makes sense. That's
So
awesome.
like
Yeah.
there you go.
that was a nice little fun fact or a little piece of Easter egg there that I really enjoyed about this episode.
Yeah, because that's how I first started watching Tales, was on Fox.
Yeah.
Waiting for like Saturday Night Live or something else to come on, or Mad TV. I think it was like
Yep,
coming
and
on
then-
after Mad TV, but before SNL.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh, the glory days.
I know.
To be young, when my knees didn't hurt and my neck wasn't fucked up.
When you could stay up late
Oh my God.
enough to watch SNL.
Dude, I said we this week we went out to go to San Francisco to go see a 35 millimeter screening of Jason 10.
Oh, I love it.
And
Ooh, nice.
And I met our friend Whitney, who did the podcast with us on Halloween, with the Halloween stuff. And the movie started at 10:30, and I was so happy when she told me she fell asleep too, because I'm like, I thought I was the only person out of the whole group that fell asleep during the,
Yeah.
because it started at 10:30 at night, and I'm so old, like, I'm still recovering from that day, and that's what getting old is like.
I remember we used to be able to go up to midnight movies, but no. 10:30 sounds like
So-
way too late now.
This is how I know that people in power have gotten younger, or sorry, they understand that their audience is getting older, because now midnight screenings happen at like 8 p.m. at night now, which is amazing.
Yeah. But they're kind of moving with the times. Like our midnight fan base is now getting older. We need to move it back.
Yeah.
Push it left. Make it 8 p.m. now.
Yeah, even better though. My favorite movies though are still when I can catch a movie at 11 a.m. or 10 a.m. on a Sunday.
Oh yeah,
Just by myself in the theater. It's still early.
love it.
Good stuff.
But man, you are my spirit animal with the way you're talking about like how everything's hurting. Like me, like, you know, like I told you, I'm military and I'm getting ready to retire. Like I'm getting ready to retire almost probably above 75% because like I could barely feel my left side.
Oh, neck injuries?
Neck injuries, shoulder, like I have a torn AC joint. Left ankle has been broken. I had to get surgery on that. It's like, and I have a massive groin pull like in my muscles. So like, you know, it's mostly on the left side, but yeah, like almost my left side is damaged.
See,
I don't know how that happened, but
well, no, at 33, I decided I was going to start doing this jiu-jitsu bullshit, and I fell in love with it. So I've hurt my neck twice now, so I have minimal feeling in my fingers from neck injuries. So I get it. It all sucks, but I guess the alternative could be worse, which is I'm still here. so I'll take it. But no, but I tell us all the time though, from jiu-jitsu though, I also did lose like 100 pounds, which means that my joints are way happier. Just everything else is way worse.
well, and that's good. Congratulations on the weight loss, by
thank
the
you.
way. You know, and like I already know because I weightlift and I'm big on fitness, so like I know for a fact like when you have all that excess weight, it can be a toll on your joints.
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, you're looking pretty jacked in the photo there. So I'm like, this dude definitely works out.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Now, Mon, did you have a chance to look at the comic Jody sent, or Jonathan? I saw you have a copy up there. Have you read this comic before?
Not for spoiled. This right here is the official archives. This doesn't actually have the comics in it.
Okay,
I actually have the file on digitals, but I haven't reviewed it.
that's fine.
Not recently.
So this one came from Haunt of Fear number 26. I only had a few minutes to read it, so I just kind of browsed through it. It's relatively the same. It doesn't have the soap opera within the soap opera.
It switches the character names.
Yeah, this is what I thought was really
which
funny.
is really interesting, threw me off. Whereas
Yeah.
the husband is Abel, and the I guess he's a bartender in the comic,
Yeah.
instead of a cable guy, and that's Leon. But I like to think though, when they looked at this comic and they said Abel, Cable, no, that has to go together.
Yeah, Ready and Able.
Yeah.
We can't not do that.
Well,
So.
I mean, like just the way he came up, like and introduced himself. I'm Abel with the cable. And,
It reminded me.
like I'm trying to.
Well, The Office did a gag like that when Dwight goes to whatever, and he claims the dentist, and Michael's like, "What was your dentist's name?" And he goes, "Crentist." And he's like, "What a funny name for a dentist." He goes, "Maybe that's why he became a dentist."
I missed that show. I really need to come back on like a streaming service. Or something.
If you have Peacock, it's on Peacock. The cool
I have Peacock.
So Peacock did the first 4 seasons, and all of them were the extended director's cuts. They haven't done season 5 yet, but even if again, I've rewatched that series 1,000 times, and it's worth rewatching again now that they have the director's cut. They call them the superfan episodes, which is all the deleted scenes added back in. It's really cool.
I'm gonna have to start watching those.
All right. So let's do our episode rating. So we do 0 to 5. You can do half points, 5 being the best. So Jonathan, what do you give this episode?
If I'm just gonna give it the rating and whatnot, since I already summed it up, I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5.
Mando.
I'm in the same boat. If I could give quarter points, I'd probably be at like 4.25, but between a 4 and 4.5. I absolutely love the episode. I love the goofy dad puns and entendres that just made me giggle the whole time. So if you can make me giggle the whole time during an episode and still have an ending that I like, even though I know, Jason, you weren't really into the ending, you get a 4.
All right. I'm going 2.5. Sorry to be a downer. And I was going to go with 2.
No. First off, you're not allowed to
No.
dislike the episode. You're not allowed to dislike it.
But
I know.
But let's hear 2.5 is not a bad rating. That's just an average episode, which I respect that.
Yeah.
I was going to go with the 2, but I think I really liked Faye Grant's performance. Just she really threw herself into this in many ways. So that bumps it up a little bit in my eyes, and Alrighty, let's move on to Song of the Day. Mando, hit us.
Alrighty, so because this was a pretty cheesy episode and it had some romance in there, I'm gonna go with a cheesy band that I know none of you guys ever heard of and probably no one's ever gonna listen to. But it's a band from the UK. Well, I think they're from Norway, called Ancient. And they were in the early days of Norwegian black metal. I think their first record came out like in 91 or 92. So they actually can be considered second wave Norwegian black metal, which is kind of the wave that everyone's into with Mayhem and Dark Throne and all those bands. But they moved to the United States early on, to Virginia actually, and they took up God, I don't remember. They got their new vocalist from Virginia, and he's another band. Was he in Profanatica? I don't remember. Doesn't matter. No one cares. But they did a cheesy ass video for this song called Willow the Wisp off their record Mad Grandiose Blood Fiends from 97. And it is the cheesiest fucking video. And it's basically about someone saying their love had died, but they're going to try to resurrect them, bring them back to life. So it's a romantic and cheesy as fuck, which fits in with this episode perfectly. And the best part is, this wasn't what I was really thinking about until like halfway through we started talking, and I was like, oh wait, I have to do this song because it's cheesy lyrics, cheesy ass video. Actually, I'll see if I can post a link to our video on our Instagram or our Twitter or something.
I want to see that.
And one of my favorite parts of the whole band was, I didn't remember this, but this song was written by their guitarist / bassist / cello player, who went by the stage name of Jesus Christ. So just full cheese. And it's funny because like these are the bands in the 90s that people were afraid of. These are the terrifying bands, the scary bands. And you look back at it and you're like, dude, they're all just, some of them took it really seriously, like the guy that was out burning down churches, who shall not be named. But some of these bands, you can definitely tell there is a lot of there is a little crypt keeper in them, we'll put it that way. So song of the week, Ancient. Mad. The album is Mad Grandiose Blood Fiends, and the song is Willow the Wisp.
Nice. When you started talking about cheese, I was thinking, are you gonna go with Richard Cheese? Are we gonna go down that route?
Or maybe Primus. Richard Cheese. Let's talk about Richard
I
Cheese
love
for a
Richard
second.
Cheese.
My wife and I saw him once down here at a casino, like in a lounge, and we had the best time. It was so much fun.
Yeah,
So
he looks like such a great performer.
Yeah, great performer, great time. I don't care what kind of music you like. If you get a chance to see Richard Cheese or Dick Cheese, as he is, he likes to call himself on stage, go see him. He's good. He's cool. That's a good call. And also, man, the Down with the Sickness piece in Dawn of the Dead remake.
Dawn of the Dead. Oh, it's so good.
Beautiful.
So good. All right, our next topic is trivia of the day, and normally that's Jody, and he brings the magic, but unfortunately Jody's not here. I'll give whatever magic I have. The only really interesting thing I could find was about Anthony LaPaglia. He was originally the first person offered the role of Tony Soprano in The Sopranos, but he ended up turning it down.
Really?
So yeah, I'm sure he regretted that choice.
Oh yeah, big time.
Well, I
Big
think
time.
we all won, not because he would have been bad, but that
But yeah.
Gandolfini was perfect. for that
Gandolfini
role.
was so good.
Yeah. And also, for any Sopranos fans out there, Anthony was just the worst. Just saying, we'll leave it at that.
All right, and that brings us to our dad advice. Mando, you put out a call to our Instagram. So for our Instagram followers, sometimes on Sundays we'll put out a call for questions for dad advice. It can be about fatherhood, Tales from the Crypt, or anything else on your mind. So Mando,
And
why don't you hit us with what you got?
yep, and you can hit us on Instagram. Also, email dadsfromthecrypt@gmail.com or on Twitter at dadsfromthecrypt. So first of all, from Horror Script Podcast, who was a really good podcast that people should be listening to. They just did an episode about The Gate, which is one of my favorite 80s horror films of all time. Like, I actually had
That's a good
nightmares.
one.
I had nightmares on that film too, about The Gate, when I was a kid, because I watched that way too young. And I have very vivid memories of I was like 5 years old on my rocking horse that my grandfather built for me, running away from demons. Apparently the horse was living at the time. And that's a dream I remember from being a young child. But
That's awesome.
I'm sorry, but if you watched The Gate and you were a kid, that even as a grown man, that clay animation will still fuck you up.
yes.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
It's terrifying.
I just picked up the soundtrack from Terror Vision Records, who do really cool stuff. And the outside of it is like kind of almost like a book sleeve, like a book jacket. And it references the band in the movie, which is called Sacrifix. And it's a fake album cover, and I fucking love it. And they actually reached out. So there's a rumor around that it was actually done by a band called Sacrifice from Canada, who did the song for The Gate, the main song that he plays backwards and worships Satan. And the guys from the Horror Script Podcast actually reached out to the band Sacrifice and found out it was not them. And they actually did more research and found out that it was just kind of like a guy.
That's awesome.
Listen to their podcast for more information. Anyhow,
Yeah, it's a good podcast. I've been talking to them, and they're gonna be on sooner than later. We're still trying to figure out time and date, but those are some cool guys.
Yep.
they hit me up asking about that, if I knew any more information about The Gate. I was like, well, here's what I know, and they went out and found more, which is really cool. So yeah, super rad people. They asked, what is your favorite horror comedy movie? And Jonathan's our guest. I'll let you start with that answer.
Oh man, there's so many, but like if I had to say, I would probably go with Shaun of the Dead.
It's a
like
hard
Edgar
one to beat.
Wright directing that film.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I like it's just one of the most amazing cult classics of zombie movies I've ever seen, especially when it makes fun of the zombie genre, but it does so well to bring homage and love to it at the same time.
Yes.
And I can never, like, there was a one point, right, where it was one of those movies where I would just constantly put it on loop and fall asleep to it.
Yeah.
You know, it was just one of those fucking movies, and I forever love it.
I remember I watched that movie. I watched that movie in the theater with two other people, because that day that the movie came out, I'll never forget this. I was working at Target. I was a manager at Target. This is back in 03 or 04, and I was applying for another company to become a higher paid, better manager, and they offered me the job on that day. And right when they offered me, I said yes, and I walked to the movie theater and went and saw Shaun of the Dead.
Nice.
Sweet.
So I'll never forget it. And yeah, man, you can't go wrong with that. Such a great movie.
And it's awesome.
Yeah, I was gonna say Shaun of the Dead. You took that one.
It's fine.
from
No,
me.
you can say it too. You
Sorry
can say
about
it
that.
too.
No, I'll think of
Yeah,
something. I'll
yeah,
come
yeah.
up with something else. But yeah, that
Tag on to it.
the problem with horror comedy is you have to bring both the horror and the comedy. If one doesn't work, then you're screwed, because then it's obviously you failed. If it's funny but not scary, then people are like, oh, it's just stupid comedy. If it's scary but not funny, the jokes just don't land and they just take away from the horror. So it's really, really hard. Like, did you guys see Studio 666?
Not yet. No.
Yeah, and
I have heard of it. I have not seen it yet.
it's not great. It's
No,
not
well,
very good.
I also, and I will dodge myself in flames of any of our listeners. I think Foo Fighters are terrible.
Okay, we're not going to get into that.
Not a knock on any of the members, because I also think Dave Grohl is a national treasure. I think he seems like the fucking raddest dude, and he actually released that Probot record. Did you ever hear that one, Jason?
Yeah, that was good.
When we tried to actually be metal, and that record is fucking awesome. I love that record.
And they just came out with another like metal record, like under a different name.
Figure that out. Let me know, because I'll definitely take a look at it. But
yeah,
I haven't seen it yet.
That's an example of one that's not good. One that here's the one that another one that comes to my mind is Behind the Mask: The Rise of Leslie Vernon.
A great one. I love that movie.
It's so good.
I haven't seen that one.
Oh, you haven't seen that one? Check it out.
I've not seen that one.
It came out like in 06, I think, so it's pretty old at this point. But man, fucking awesome.
I was listening to someone, I forget which podcast it was. I don't think it was the horror script. I think it was a different one. But they were talking about it. It's basically Scream, but from the slasher killer's perspective.
Okay.
Where it's like deconstructing all the tropes and everything in horror, but from a murderer's perspective. And it's so goddamn funny. It's so well acted, and it's pretty frightening in some places.
Well, they have like the third act goes down a direction I didn't expect, and
Yeah,
I mean it in the best way possible. And plus, I love Robert Englund playing a protagonist for once.
Yeah, we don't want to ruin anything, but yeah, and also the psycho killer over the end, over the credits. I love the talking heads. That just gets me. So that's my choice. In lieu of Shaun of the Dead, that's my choice.
Yeah, I would also pick Shaun of the Dead as my first one without question. But so I'll give my number 2, which is going to be Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Yeah.
Oh yes. It's a good one.
I still remember when I first watched that, when it first came out on a Blu-ray or DVD or whatever, and the first tagline or the marketing line I heard was they called it the American Shaun of the Dead. And I don't know if you guys remember, but for a long period there, any horror comedy was the successor to Shaun of the Dead. They all compared themselves to Shaun of the Dead. So I went into it with a lot of trepidation. Like, I hate it when anyone ever compared themselves to Shaun of the Dead. But this movie was the American Shaun of the Dead. It hit all the right notes. I felt like I was in on the joke the whole time. And the acting was so goddamn good in that movie. And yeah, I love that film to a whole different level. So my pedestal of horror comedies, if I had, or my Mount Rushmore, would be Shaun of the Dead, Tucker and Dale versus Evil, Evil Dead 2.
Very nice.
And I'd be hard pressed to pick a fourth one. But when you said behind,
is Ghostbusters horror comedy?
I don't know, because, and I'm gonna say this in the place from when I was a kid. If I was a kid and saw Shaun of the Dead, there'd be things that would scare me. Same with Evil Dead 2. Same with Tucker and Dale. I don't know if Ghostbusters would ever scare me because of how
two things in that movie scared me as a kid. One was the very opening with the ghost librarian where she turns around. That always scared me.
I could see that.
And
yeah,
the one where the hands pop out of the couch because you're sitting on the couch watching it and you're like, oh, is a hand gonna pop out and get me?
I would never say you're wrong for including that though. Like I'd never argue that. But I'd say probably, actually, now that you mention it, probably Leslie Vernon might be the last one, or even there's another one with Robert Englund that doesn't get talked about very much, but Jack Brooks, Monster Slayer.
Okay.
Anybody? You guys seen that?
Maybe a long time. I don't remember it.
Not familiar with that one.
Really think it's worth watching. If anything, for Robert Englund, in practical effects, he can turn into a giant blob monster.
Cool.
Well, since we're giving out multiple entries,
go for it.
Yeah.
There was okay, so this one I'm not sure if many people are very familiar with Jim Varney's Ernest series, but Ernest Scared Stupid
Yes.
was one that I grew up on that one.
Me
man.
too.
And like
Yeah.
it was one of those movies where I would just constantly pop into into the VCR and just like watching trolls getting their asses knocked out with milk and shit, but like just the overall film itself, like it's obviously Jim Varney being a goofball throughout the entire 90 minutes, but there's some really big horror elements that play into this with the whole troll faction trying to abduct these kids and like gain powers based on the souls of these children and whatnot, and just nobody believes Ernest, nobody believes the kids. And I think like just the overall way they shot the film was also pretty good.
I like that. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can also. I mean, there's so many you can roll in, like Young Frankenstein and Abbott Costello meet Frankenstein. I'm all about those old Universal monsters.
A couple years ago, I remember on Twitter, someone was kind of asking, like, could anyone have replaced Bruce Campbell in Evil Dead 2 or Army of Darkness? And someone mentioned Jim Varney, and I was like, holy shit, I could see that. I could actually see him with the way he does that body comedy to work with those films.
Interesting.
I could definitely see it.
I was a big Ernest fan, and in Ernest Scared Stupid, there is one of the best lines in the history of cinema, where he's reading this book, which is going to teach him how to kill the trolls, and it said you need to use M blank blank K, and he says Miak, good old fashioned German Miak. I still don't know what the fuck that is, but
and he actually gets a can of Miak and shows the troll. Like he shows whatever the master troll's name is. Like he shows it. Yeah, guess what? I got Miak, and he's throwing it in his hands. Like, guess what? You about to get it. He's like, what are you doing? Where'd you get that? And even the troll's like, Miak. Miak.
The troll makes fun of the hero. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great pick, and I was a big Ernest fan growing up. Ernest goes to jail, goes to camp, saves Christmas. Yeah. Count me in. Like, I'll rewatch this any day of the week.
Yeah, but so Ernest Scared Stupid and two others, the Gremlins franchise and American Psycho. American Psycho.
Yeah.
You call hold on a second here. We need to talk about this. You call American Psycho a comedy or horror comedy?
Yeah. Oh hell yeah.
Really?
It's not. No. Okay. So bear with me real quick. Like, just hear me out.
I'm down for this.
American Psycho is not meant to be a comedy, but there are certain scenes in that film where like you just can't help but laugh.
Okay.
Like it's just and I'm just gonna put this out there. It's gonna be the most obvious one, where Patrick Bateman's girlfriend or his girlfriend is having a fit in the restaurant, and he's getting ready to leave her, like, because he doesn't want to deal with her drama. And she just goes, "Where are you going?" He goes, "Listen, I just got to leave." And she goes, "But where?" "I got to return some videotapes."
Okay.
Well, I mean, and then there's the whole business card dick measuring scene. Like,
yeah.
I find those scenes terrifying because you're watching this guy's the erosion of his sanity at that point.
No, but that scene, it's a whole group psychosis. I personally do think it actually is a comedy, like, or at least a satire, comical satire.
Have you guys ever read the book?
Yeah.
Yeah, in the book, they definitely go harder on this is in his head.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But I will say the scene that makes me laugh in that movie is when he goes to the ATM machine and says, "Feed me the cat."
Yes.
Feed me a cat. Feed me a cat. I'm sorry.
No, I did. I'm
I
laughing.
understand. I understand a lot of people at first reception of the film, when you first watch it, like, you're just like, what the hell's wrong with this dude? But then when you watch it again, it's just like, oh my God, like, he's actually thinking that an ATM is telling him to feed him a goddamn cat.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like, he looks at the old woman that comes up, like, what are you doing? He just pulls out his gun and shoots her. Like,
well, right. And then he shoots the car and the car explodes.
Yeah, no, I respect that, because as a guy with bad anxiety, if I was trying to feed a cat to an ATM machine and someone asked me what I was doing, killing them would be the easier option than trying to explain my my current situation.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how I explain, like, I'm just trying to feed this ATM this cat like it's asking me for. It's normal. All right,
what's the next one?
Two more. Do we have any plans to cover Ritual? And Jason, I'll leave that in your hands. I've never actually.
Ooh.
It's been. I'd be down to watch it again. I know it's terrible.
I don't want to, but I feel obligated as a Tales to Crypt podcast. Eventually, I want to say yes. Under some circumstance, maybe we'll start Patreon and do a fundraiser or something. Like that.
Again, end of season's coming up pretty soon. Maybe a couple episodes in the middle. So we'll talk about that one. But we'll
talk about it. I don't want to, but I'm obligated to.
Okay. And then last but not least, sorry, that question was from Chris SCHACHE. Chris Sachern. I'm gonna butcher the name, dude. I don't want to butcher your name, but last but not least, from Films at Staten Island, who has been on twice. I can only count Lance Henriksen and Larry Drake. And that I just don't know.
So I know we haven't been through the whole series yet.
I think Jonathan's got us here.
Oh.
There's a few on the top of my head. Joe Pantoliano.
Okay.
What's his name? Miguel Ferra.
Oh, really?
A few others have been on it again. I just can't.
Why are you thinking?
Yeah, but
I've
so
got
far,
two.
those two I can think of.
Roy Brocksmith.
Yes, Roy
He
Brocksmith.
was the bartender in The Man Who Was Death. Then he was the lab assistant in The Switch, or the lab, the crazy mad scientist.
Right.
And then William Sadler, he was obviously in the first episode. And then in another later episode, I don't know which one off the top of my head, he is in the wraparound.
Okay.
Yeah, for the assassin.
The assassin, that's right. Yeah. So he just, I don't know if you want to count that because he's not in the episode proper, but he's in the Crypt Keeper segment.
I actually have a fun little theory about that one.
Go on.
Okay.
So obviously we know his death character is based on Bill and Ted, right?
Yeah.
But, obviously his character was formerly in the Tales franchise in the first episode, The Man Who Was Dead, right? So just hear me out here.
I think I know where you're going. This is good.
This guy was basically an executioner in his episode. He goes and kills people as an executioner, and then all of a sudden he ends up being killed in his own fashion. Imagine if this guy actually ended up being reincarnated as the living embodiment of death, and he's actually talking to the Crypt Keeper, because of that.
I like that. Yeah. We talked in the last episode how cool it would be, because there's several episodes which end with someone being executed, if the executioner all his episodes would have been William Sadler.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if it was like a recurring thing, that would be cool.
Even if he didn't have the same name, just everyone would be in on the joke. I thought it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we had one more question from our Slack community. So we're me and Mando and Jody are all part of the Bloody Good Horror Slack. And we posted in there as well. Our friend, I'm trying to get her real name, Julie, asked us any tips for picky eaters between ages 3 and 5-ish, how to get kids to eat certain foods like vegetables, etc. Mondo, you got anything?
Dude, my kid pretty much ate everything growing up except for weird green vegetables, which, let's be honest, broccoli and Brussels sprouts and asparagus, I like them because I know how to cook them now and how to eat them with certain things. But kids, I get they're not gonna like that kind of stuff. I would say just try a bunch of different things and just see what sticks. Like if they won't eat broccoli but they'll eat zucchini, cool. You just gotta try different cooking methods, and also this may sound really dumb, but if they see you eating it, they're probably more likely to eat it. So don't cook shit that you don't want to eat. But aside from broccoli, we never really had that problem growing up.
Yeah, no, that's all good advice. I would suggest the same thing. One way to get your kids to eat them without them knowing it is to make fruit smoothies, but put vegetables and stuff in it. So a lot of times we'll do that with my daughter. She loves fruit smoothies, but then we'll put spinach, and some other stuff that she'll never taste, but just to get in her diet and just at least she's eating it in some form or another.
Mm-hmm.
This reminds me, when I was working at Sharper Image, we used to have a family that would come in all the time to look at stuff, and we worked next to a Whole Foods, and the son would always rock around. The son was maybe 7 with a stalk of broccoli like an ice cream cone. And he would just fucking be just chomping off pieces of broccoli. because that's how much he loved broccoli. And I was like, holy shit, go for it.
Power to him.
But
He's getting his vitamins and nutrients.
Another quick tip about broccoli is try broccolini or baby broccoli. It has
love broccolini.
Me too. Broccolini is like my favorite vegetable. A slightly bit sweeter, nuttier flavor. But I think actually what a lot of people complain about broccoli, the pungent green kind of flavor to it, you don't get that with broccolini.
How do you like your broccolini, Mando?
Sauteed.
Nice.
With garlic.
Yes.
How do you like yours, Jason?
Yeah.
Do you like it hard or do you like it more flaccid?
I like it grilled.
Nice.
Actually, I like broccoli quite a bit too. So
No, I'm a big broccoli fan too. Like it's kind of funny because in my older age, I've noticed that I'm not feeling good. I'm just gonna eat a plate of greens and I feel amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So shout out Tropical Smoothie Cafe for their green detox smoothie, which is just a bunch of green shit and ginger, and does not taste sweet at all. It's pretty, but it makes you feel good.
cool. All right. Do we have anything else?
Well, so I was going to ask a very question because in this scene, there's a lot of men in their undergarments. So a lot of young men get on this boxer kick. Everyone wants to wear boxers and boxers and boxers. You know what boxers don't do? Jason, what don't they do?
Support.
Yeah, they don't support your shit. So, like, your shit's just hanging there and just all willy-nilly and just flapping around while you try to do anything good. So, I'm a big fan of anything that holds my shit in nice and tight to where I don't have to worry about it flopping around when I'm trying to choke people in jiu-jitsu or I'm trying to just go out on a nice romantic walk with my lady friend, a.k.a. my wife. So, I'm a big fan of underwear that kind of contours to my body. Like, the boxer brief. The shorter the leg, the better. Just saying, is my favorite thing. So, what are your guys' picks on undergarments?
I will jump in. I do like the boxers, but I like the boxer knits.
Okay, I don't.
Where it's like a t-shirt material, so it's the same cut as the boxers, but it's a little thicker. It's a little more supportive.
Just a little more though. Okay.
A little bit. It's kind of halfway.
Okay.
And it just gives you a little more. It's not just a thin beat. It's not just a thin fabric. It's actually got something to it, but you still get the freedom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's how I roll.
Me, I'm commando all the time for the most part.
I love it.
Like for me, like I don't like anything too constricting around my genitals, my man parts, because for me, like if they don't breathe, I feel like I can't breathe.
Yes.
So I just I'm commando most of the time. I'd say 95% of the time.
I love we had 3 answers. We're all like, I'm like all about give me that support. Jason's like, yeah, in the middle, and then Jonathan's like, dude, just fucking free ball this shit. I love it.
Hey, like I said, 95% of the time. The other 5% is when I'm at the gym or when I'm kind of at work doing my thing. But aside from that, yeah, I'm free balling.
No, I'm not gonna lie. Around the house, totally down for free balling, because I'm not doing anything strenuous. But like when I do jiu-jitsu, that shit needs to be like nice and tight.
Well, yeah, that's
yeah.
That's category. That's a situation.
But even when I'm going to Target, I want my shit to be nice and tight, so my shit doesn't move anywhere. This feels good to me. So I'm gonna give you the tip of the day now. But just
wait, I feel like we need to get Jody. We need to edit.
Wait. What kind of tip?
Just the tip. All right. My second favorite kind of underwear. This is where you guys judge me. It's okay. I'm throwing this out there into the world. You guys should get down with a thong. You guys should get down with this. You guys both made weird faces like, where the fuck are you going with this? Because I promise you. I'm just going to promise you this. You're hanging out with your special lady friend. Or a lady you're courting. Jason and me, this does not apply to us. Jonathan, I don't know if you're married or have a long-term girlfriend or anything, but
I am married.
Oh, you're married. Okay. So this applies to all of us then. When you're with your wife and you guys are like, do your thing. You guys go upstairs in the bedroom, take your pants off, and you're wearing a thong. I promise you the night's going to go well.
Okay.
I'm just telling you this.
I'm
just telling you this. So we're talking about this the other night. And so in Las Vegas, there are 2 types of strip clubs. Well, there's many types of strip clubs, but 2 main types. Nude, fully nude, and not nude. They have to wear the undergarments. They can't have their bottoms off. The difference is totally topless or totally nude, no alcohol. With undergarments on, you can serve alcohol. And people don't understand, why do you want to see anybody with undergarments on? Wear a thong for your lady, and you will understand why. Just saying. That's my dad advice.
All right, we're gonna leave that.
Hey dude, like you want to know what? Like when you see your lady and she's got like some nice undergarments going on, you're like, oh fuck yeah. She said the same thing. It's just that weird thing that we have these gender constructs where we have to fit inside this mold. You don't.
Mm-hmm.
All I'm saying, Jason, I'll send you a picture of what underwear I'm packing for New Mexico. I'm going to Mexico. I'll be in an airplane in like 8 hours from now to go to Mexico. I'm not. My picture there is all boxer briefs, but still.
Okay, so my contribution to that part of the conversation, Jason, what Mando's saying is not 100% wrong. It is not.
Nothing Mando ever says.
I
would never say anything Mando says is 100% wrong. Whether it's 90% wrong.
Dude, this is 0% wrong. Just trust me.
So, is it? No, so there's actually a little bit of truth to what he's saying, because I don't know if you guys know this, but I used to cosplay back in the day. So I used to have my Spider-Man Lycra suit along with my Batman Beyond Lycra suit. So the obvious thing here, right, is like when you wear a tight suit like that, it constricts to your body and it shows like all the like shape of it, including your crotch. So the thing to that is like you have to wear a dancer's belt, which for males, it's essentially a thong, but it has padding in the front to where it conceals the shape of your crotch. That way, whenever you're at conventions or, you know, if anybody who chooses to do birthday parties or kids appearances and whatnot in those suits, they don't have their junk all up in the kids' faces or whatever. So essentially, that's what a male cosplayer who wears sub-dye Lycra suits would wear, including myself, because I didn't want my junk in kids' faces. So I'm pretty sure the parents didn't want that. So, but needless to say, I got out of suit one time with my wife, and like she saw me in the dancer's belt, and needless to say, you know, she was feeling it. She was feeling it,
right?
Literally and metaphorically.
So Jason.
Careful.
So, do you like when your wife wears something nice for you?
Something nice? Sure.
Don't answer that.
I don't think this is a road I want to go down.
No, dude, the answer is
He's
yes.
gaslighting you. He's gaslighting you.
The answer is definitely yes. All I'm saying is you can return the favor.
I can. I just don't think a thong would be her preference.
How do you know?
But that's between me and her.
Have you tried?
We can have this conversation offline.
I'll send you. No, I think it's the perfect place to have this conversation, Jason. So what we need from you guys, we email us at dadsword@gmail.com. Would you like to see Jason in a thong? We just need a yes or no. We don't need a.
Or how much would you want to not see me in a thong?
Or how much would you pay to see it? Because we can monetize.
There needs to be
shit.
a poll. There needs to be a poll and a survey.
I think I would rather go nude than the thong.
Really?
I'd rather just say, you know what? I'll just go full on.
Just go birthday suit.
No.
Birthday suit.
I've made bets like that before.
Rock that shit, dude. Rock that shit.
There are different phases. No male has ever looked worse than with a shirt and undergarments on. You look like you're a toddler. You can't have an undergarments and a shirt on. Okay. So you have to lose the shirt, and then you can get.
How do you know I'm wearing anything right now?
I don't know. I don't care. You can do whatever you want, dude. Like, this is a free world, and you'll just Jason, just stand up. Give us a look.
I mean, honestly, dude, it is your podcast. You can do whatever the fuck you want.
I mean, dude,
all right.
You could be wearing a butt plug right now. I'm not gonna.
I'm
not sure that call for us. We're leaving that in.
No, hey. During the heavy COVID times, how many people were having like their job interviews or meetings and whatnot?
Oh yeah, I totally have that.
Suit, and they were butt naked on the lower end.
1,000%. I've had job interviews on camera with just a shirt, a tie, and basketball shorts.
Oh, that's okay. I thought you're going way worse than that. but did you have your butt plug in? That's a very important question.
Okay. That wraps up another episode.
What are we
Jonathan,
wrapping
thank
up?
you so much for coming on. This is a pleasure. Where can people find you?
Absolutely. It's my pleasure to be on it. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming, man.
Everyone can find me. Yeah, absolutely. Everyone can find me on CryptTube's Instagram, just at CryptTube. They can find me on the Tales from the Crypt group of Gore on Facebook, and CryptTube's YouTube channel, just at CryptTube.
Awesome.
And again, like that's like anybody who's trying to follow along, or you want to go back and you haven't watched the episodes, like CryptTube is the best place to see them. Like it's
Yes.
well, we really appreciate what you're doing, man. Really do.
No, thank you guys. And I like my work into this channel is all because of you guys and the way you guys receive it. And, if I get, much more love, like I'm going to be more tempted to put more into it. Like that's all I want to do basically. Also, there is one thing about the channel that's coming up soon. There is a subject that I've been wanting to tackle for a very long time. The Crypt Keeper versus Chucky debate, an eye for an eye. discussing the differences between the two puppets, because that meme that goes around about Chucky's eyes and him being stripped to go into the Crypt Keeper doll, that is something that I'm trying to discredit and have the fans know that good guy doll from the '88 Child's Play film is not reworked to be the Crypt Keeper, just the eyes, and I have proof to verify that.
Ooh, okay.
Awesome.
So
that's awesome.
All right, we'll look forward to that.
yeah, be on the spook out for that.
All right. Well, again, thank you for coming on. Next week, we will be reviewing Yellow, the season 3 finale, one of my personal favorite episodes. It's a double episode too, so it's a little bit longer if you're gonna be watching it. So
I'm gonna give that a 2.5. Just saying right now.
Oh. Oh boy.
That man's spiteful. You don't like
I
me.
know. Mando holds a grudge. I still love him. It's just,
I've been
I
trying to
just
get
come back for more.
how many times have I tried to get you to say I love you on this podcast, and you just did it. I love you too, Jason. Thank you.
Okay.
And guys, I also wanted to ask you guys, because Jason, you and I have already talked about this. I definitely want to have the two of you on a Crypt discussion video to discuss the podcast.
Oh yeah.
Oh, dude,
You
we'd
guys
love
are
to,
willing
man.
to do so.
We'd absolutely love to.
Awesome, perfect. All right, so we'll work out the details and we'll get a date scheduled.
Definitely.
All right.
Perfect.
All right, well, that wraps up everything. We appreciate everyone for listening, and we'd really appreciate it if everyone would give us a rating or review on iTunes and a rating on Spotify. And with that, we thank you for listening to Dads from the Crypt.
Toodaloo.
Follow Dads from the Crypt on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or I will follow you to the grave. No, seriously, you really should watch. But be careful what you ask for. You may get it.